Hello, Facebook fans and YouTube fans of DX Engineering. It's Friday afternoon, and we are into it big time on VHF. This weekend coming up is the ARRL VHF contest, and we have a VHF expert on with us today. It's John, N2NC, from his home in New Jersey. Hello, John.
Hello, Tim. How are you?
Good, good. John, give us some background on the June VHF contest, and also, what can guys kind of expect, and tell us about your experience.
Yeah, sure. So, it's the middle of the summer, and if you turn on the HF bands, um, things kind of get punk, especially in the daytime. The bands kind of get soft. So, for many years, what have people done? They switched to 6 meters in the summer. We happen to be, in the mid-latitude northern hemisphere. It's peak sporadic E or short skip season, whatever you want to call it. So, if you haven't turned on your 6 meter radio in a while, it's a good time to do it. I've been monitoring the band a little bit the past week or two, and it seems to be a little open more often this year than it has last year. So yeah, there's some contests coming up. That is a great opportunity for, most HF radios cover 6 meters, and there's a lot of VHF, UHF multi-mode radios like the IC 9700 and FT 991 that have 2 meters and 432. So it's a good opportunity to exercise those and take part in some contests, hopefully with some increased activity. So this weekend is the ARRL June VHF contest. The ARRL sponsors three. Really, if for Canada and US, it's the biggest VHF contest of the year. There's January, June, and September. So this weekend is June. The serious guys, they're going to be from 6 meters up, believe it or not, through light communications. There's guys here locally in the Northeast that'll work each other on like 10 different bands from 6 meters up to 10 gigahertz and maybe even higher. But really what everyone's hoping for is that 6 meters opens up. When 6 meters opens up, that's where everyone is, because that's where the points are. I was making some notes for this webinar today, and I actually heard on phone a guy in Louisiana and Tennessee. So the band's certainly starting to come to life. So this weekend, mostly check 6 meters. There's a contest on. The exchange is simple. It's just your grid square. So I'm in New Jersey and FN20. Obviously, there'll be a lot of activity on FT8. If you use WSJTX, be sure to put it in contest mode, which you can pick. I think there's a choice for contest mode and North American VHF contests, and that'll send the exchange properly. Don't forget to check analog. There's still life on phone and CW, especially when the band opens, and you can work guys fast. You don't need a big antenna when the band's open. I don't have much more than a dipole here. When the band's open, I can work all kinds of stuff. And radios are so good now. Us VHF guys wish we had the radios you can get now 30 years ago. So that's what's coming up this weekend, Tim.
John, you've had a lot of experience this weekend. I know we're going to get to the CQ VHF contest here in a minute, but you've had a lot of experience, and we're right at the sunspot peak now here in 2025. And there was a great web.
Uh-oh.
Let's talk a little bit just about, can you, give the guys a short snippet on what is sporadic E and what is the F2 layer skip?
I'll do my best. If you really want the deep dive, I think W3LPL has been giving some great talks on how the magic of 6 meter works in the summer. But F2 is, kind of what happens on the HF bands, but we're kind of, I think, coming off the peak of the sunspot cycle. But F2 propagation is really more the stuff you would see like on HF when 10 meters is really good, the February, March, and September, October. That's when 6 meters would be good for F2. I don't think it's ever really good in the summer, but in the summer, what you do get is this sporadic E, which I'm not going to do a good job explaining the physics, but it has something to do with there's more meteors coming into the atmosphere, and they make sheets of ions that persist, I think, due to wind currents that are unique to the summer. But that's really what we're counting on this weekend. And in the middle of summer, you're talking about this sporadic E propagation, which that's usually the short skip where you can work a guy 600, 800 miles away. And then that'll also support long haul DX if these patches in the atmosphere, I think as
Right.
like Fred likes to call it, kind of, you just hop, you can work Japan, you can work Europe. I know a week or two ago, there was actually, the reports I heard, one of the best openings from the US to Europe in quite some time. So part of the magic, you never know what's going to happen on 6 meters. I guess, some people call it the magic band, but
Right. And John, where should guys, tomorrow afternoon here in the U.S. time is the start of the contest. Where should guys point their antennas? I mean, they want to take advantage of what's going on. So, you talked about some of these propagation paths. Where do they point their antennas?
I mean, I would just point, to the population centers. Here in New Jersey, we're going to be pointing, west and southwest to get down to Florida and try to get to the Midwest. There's quite a few people to work there. I would say if you're away from the Northeast, point towards us, because there's a lot of VHF activity kind of clustered in the Northeast, which just goes with the population density up here. So when the band's open, and especially, I I'm not like one of these anti-FT8 guys. It's another tool in the box for everyone to use, but many people say it, but when you're on FT8 and you're just getting 50 decodes a sequence, well, that's a clue that you could probably switch to sideband and go, anywhere from 50.130 up above 5200, and like I said, even with my dipole and 100 watts, I work tons of stuff with that kind of antenna when the band's open. So
But FT8 is a staple. That's on 6 meters, 2 meters. What about 70 centimeters?
yeah, I mean, FT8 is really on every band now. It's well, 6 meters, it's 50.313. There's also FT4, which I suggest to try during contests. I forget the frequency of that, but it's all built into the tables in WSJTX. But on 2 meters, 174 is the frequency. So, and that's basically on all the bands. So
Yeah.
144, 174, 222, 174, 432, 174. But yeah, that's where people have in the past 5 years, it's kind of coalesced to that. That's where people hang out.
So those are the hot frequencies. So we have the ARRL VHF contest this weekend. Now, how about in July? Let's talk about, you just took over as director of the CQ VHF contest, and you've made some changes. Talk about that, John.
Yeah, so we have the CQ Worldwide VHF contest coming up, and yeah, we did make one really significant change. We broke it up into 2 separate weekends. It used to run around the third weekend in July, just one weekend. But we made a decision, kind of looking at trends of submittals, and the big thing we looked at was kind of QSOs per entry, and it's now, of course, data, you don't really know what it's telling you, but there does seem to be that FT8 activity has kind of decreased the total amount of contacts. I think, I don't really know why. When the band is open, you can certainly process guys faster on sideband or even CW, but and there's been comments in the soapbox comments, the past few years, oh, you guys should think about splitting the contest. I miss analog activity. So that's what we're going to try and do, and we're just going to test it out. I figure the only way to find out if something can affect a positive change is to test it. So that was kind of the motivation. So the contest is now, it's a 24-hour time period from 1200 Zulu to 1200 Zulu, Saturday to Sunday. The SSB CW FM weekend is July 5th and 6th. And then the purely dedicated digital weekend will be July 19th and 20th from 1200 Zulu to 1200 Zulu. We did adjust the times a little bit. I mean, one thing unique about this contest is it's a worldwide VHF contest. So kind of align it with like the ARRL HF 24-hour contest. Make it 1200 Zulu to 1200 Zulu to kind of not make it too early or too late for everyone in the world. And we're maintaining just 6 and 2 meters. I looked at some history. The current format kind of came from our friends Gene W3ZZ, Bob Cox K3EST, and Fred K3ZO. Kind of said, let's make a contest, an easy VHF contest that anyone can work, so that's why it's just 6 and 2 meters. Keep it simple. This is kind of meant to be the contest for people to get their feet wet in VHF. So again, this is a worldwide contest. I mean, I got an email from a guy in China that I helped with some stuff last year before the contest, and he let me know that I guess there's a WeChat, which is like, a social media chat application where the Chinese VHF guys are talking about CQ Worldwide VHF. So that's obviously the big change. There's some other stuff. I added 100-watt categories because up until this year, it was either QRP or everyone else, and I didn't think that was fair. Most people on VHF just have, their barefoot radios, whether it's a 7610 to get you on 6 meters or, the all band radios that cover
Right.
6 meters. They're, 50 watts, 100 watts. So hopefully that'll, give people more even playing field, people that don't have big VHF stations. So that's what's coming up. I've been working with the software authors. So I guess the big 2 programs everyone uses are N1MM
Yes.
and N3 FJP's VHF contest log. If you update the FJP program to the latest version, which I think is 6.610, it's ready for the CQ Worldwide VHF. What else? Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, we do have a plaque program. Obviously, with splitting it to 2 weekends, we kind of instantly doubled the number of plaques. I want to thank Doug K1DG, who runs the plaque program, that does a great job. So he's looking for plaque sponsors. Oh, I should have said the The website is just cqworldwide-vhf.com. You can find all the information about rules. There's also a link for plaques. I see Tim's got it on the screen there. So we do have, there's plaques per contest. There's some combined ones to encourage people to operate both the analog and digital weekends. I actually heard from someone in the Potomac Valley Radio Club. They have added CQ Worldwide VHF to their internal awards program. So thank you very much, PVRC, for supporting CQ Worldwide VHF activity. I just, for the digital weekend, obviously there's always FT8, but I'd really like to see, there's some really cool things on some other modes, whether it be FT4 or MSK144 for meteor scatter. There's a mode called Q65 that can dig way down deeper in the noise than FT8, and I know there's kind of a group of guys on some VHF chat boards that really take kind of these more exotic modes, and this is a weekend to show what you can do with all these different digital modes.
It's really great, John. It's a whole nother world, as you pointed out, on VHF. So really is, and because you've got a sunspot activity, you've got sporadic E, and then you haven't even gotten into some of the stuff that can happen on 2 meters, tropo and all those things in the CQ worldwide VHF contest. And of course, this weekend kind of kicks that thing off. You get some VHF, a lot of VHF activity this weekend, also during field day, and then the 2 contests that you have in July, which is really great. I just want to go to the chat room for a second. We have Grace Kate Lima Golf on with us, and she's looking forward to the contest this weekend. It's nice to have some of the youth involved, and there's also the Yoda camp going on in Denver. I'm sure they'll be on. Our friend from Greenville, I know he'll be on 6 meters, KE3 Juliet Papa from Echo Norway 91. And Brian, W7JET, he'll be out QRP portable on a mountaintop Saturday and Sunday. 6 meters through 2.4 gigahertz.
There you go.
SFB and CW from W7JET. Eric is on Kilo 4 Radio Juliet Victor. Our friend Rob from the UK, Mike 0 Kilo Papa Delta, and X-Ray 2 Echoes, X-Ray Echo 2 Zulu Zulu, and November 2 Golf Bravo Foxtrot Getty is on as well. John, a lot going on. Thanks so much for coming on, and we'll have you on again here as we talk VHF, and the July contest is going to be great.
All right, everyone, have fun, and don't forget to leave the radio on 6 meters for the next month or so. We're at the peak of E season.
It sounds great, John. Thanks very much. It's been John Galome, the chairman of the CQ Worldwide VHF contest, and John just got into this role. We want to give him a lot of encouragement. Make sure you get on. He's directing some change between the analog modes and digital modes. It's going to be a great June and July. And thank you, John, for being here. Thanks to all of you for listening today. And we'll see you on the VHF bands. 73 from DX Engineering.